Welcome to the love series. Yeah, welcome on board, finally.
Yeah.
Great.
I'll do the silent version.
Okay, so welcome back, guys. Today we are talking about money. Money.
I feel like we talked about money already.
In marriage.
Okay.
Yeah. So, how do people handle money in marriage? Who pays for what? At what point do you share info about finances? How do you save? Do you save? What happens with money? Because we spoke about money in dating, right? And for the most part, a lot of people felt like your money is your money, my money is my money. Cool. Now that we're married in the same house, we are one. I should take this away. We are one.
Yeah, we are one. Should be like one. We are one. Another one.
Okay. Then what? How do you now stop your money is your money, my money is my money, and bring it together? How do you fix that? How do you work around money?
Supposed to? Is it like mandatory? What should be done?
It doesn't have to be, but like how then do people manage money in the home? Now you're in one house. Your people are my people.
Yeah, I like to hear what the female perspective is on this. I did ask a few guys and I got a few, but I like to know what's the female perspective on now I'm married, this is how money should be handled.
We want you to pay for everything.
I think so. Is it like whether you're working or not?
Yeah. I actually know someone two people who, ladies, of course, anytime they spend money, they like claim that money back from their husband.
Like
so
you bought food for the house, or
yeah,
like you bought yourself shoes?
Anything.
Dang.
If you didn't give me that money, I'm gonna claim it back from you, and they get it back. But you see, that works for them, and that like
I'm not the one.
That works for them, and that's their model, right? In that instance, obviously, then the man is paying for everything, literally. So even if she's making her own money, they both work, but they still claim money back. So girls' night out, oh, I spent $200. Yeah, can I have my $200 back?
Run me my money.
Run me my money. So that's the thing, though. Of course, in different marriages, things are done differently. So you don't have to bring it together or whatever. My question is just like generally then, what is the expectation? How do you then address it? Who does what?
I don't know shit.
Oh, you've only just been married for... okay, you still don't know. You still don't know.
Like, look, all I know is keep your wife happy. But
happy wife, happy life. I say this all the time.
At what point, though? At what point do people ask? Is it once you're married, they just start asking each other, like, okay, so how are we going to handle the money? Or are these conversations that happen earlier? And if they are, what are the conversations that need to happen earlier? What should I tell you before we are married so that you know what's going to happen in our marriage? Are we just going to wake up married and then all of a sudden now all the money you've spent, you come and claim it, which is something maybe you didn't do before? Like,
I should have done that. That's my bad.
Yeah, you would have gotten like a pin.
Right. I think you should definitely have this conversation like during courtship, long before you get here, because you shouldn't be surprised, right? They're not really good surprises to find that your person overspends, or that I believe that you should pay me my money back anytime I spend, because like in our case, I spend a lot.
Yeah.
So you'd owe me a lot of money.
No, we'd be bankrupt.
That is true. But it shouldn't be a surprise. You should definitely have these conversations, like in the episode when we're talking about money in dating. Like you should have those conversations at that stage, so you know this is the person that I'm planning to spend my life with. Am I ready to be paying money back anytime she spends money? Am I ready to foot bills, like in actual real life? It's different when you're dating. Oh no, it's lunch, I got this, and now you're married and it's no longer lunch, it's groceries. And it's a real meal. Your fridge needs capacity. Visitors come. You can't be like, no, we constantly eat out. We don't have food for visitors. Stuff like that. Who's going to pay for that? You need to have these conversations. When you start having...
eat out. Married people.
Is not us.
Like, they're trying to get poor.
What what schools are your kids going to go to when they start going to school? Are you guys okay with that outside of like maybe curriculum, just the standard of school and the costs attached to that? Who's going to pay for that? How are we going to pay for that? Where are we going to live? You know, because it's one thing when you're dating and he lives there and you live here, and now when we're together, am I moving into your place? Are you moving into mine? Are we getting a whole new place that we're starting afresh from, the both of us? What neighborhood is that?
Why do girls like doing that though?
Because you would have had ratchets in your house.
Have like a perfectly working space, and all of a sudden, let's get a new. Do you know what the cost of moving is? The cost of moving a house is ridiculous.
That sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, finances will never work. Men just need to run all the finances, run all of it. Don't give them nothing. Like give her like an allowance. Right, you should. Take her money too, and then give her an allowance of her money that she's working for. Otherwise, can you hear this? Like,
but like seriously, we want to start from scratch because you had your ratchets, and I don't want to.
And you had your ratchets?
I did not.
Like, I feel like women just project. They had ratchets in their house. Now all of a sudden, you had ratchets
than you. You will have.
Y'all don't know that.
We know it for a fact. Deny it.
2 ratchets a day. I don't know why you underestimate niggas.
We just said no surprises in marriage. Look at that on camera.
Yeah, because you can't do anything to me here.
Yeah, because I've already told them that I got you. So, so the thing is, right? You have to have these conversations for me before you get married. You don't want to walk in and like the first month end, right? Rent is due, and you're looking at each other like, I thought you got this, or where's your 50%, or you know what I mean? Like you have to have that conversation. And now because black tax is real, now your black tax isn't just your black tax like it was when we're dating. Like you do you boo-boo and I'll do me. No.
Isn't there like a softer term than black tax? Like, can't we just say like familial responsibilities?
Yeah, we can say that.
We can even go ahead to say ancestral responsibilities because some of these
sounds spiritual.
Right. Familial responsibilities.
Okay, fine. Familial responsibilities, right? Now because you're one, now it's in here, in our home. I can't hear you on the phone and have you like have someone, I need to come through, can I put up at your place, blah, blah, blah. And then act like I heard nothing. You know, you can't act like you heard nothing either. Now it's here, right, for us. How are we dealing with this? We have 1 packet of meat left and we know it's just for the 2 of us. How are we going to handle that?
They're going to eat what we eat. We just split that packet into smaller packets.
Right.
But look, okay, so familial responsibilities obviously need to be spoken about. But how people deal with them is different. So when I asked people, there were generally 2 camps that I came across.
Yeah.
There were people who'd say, look, once we are married, we pretty much use the money together, or we pair the money together. We pair the money together. So what it means is that we've pulled the money into a pool and we need to be very accountable to each other as to what goes out. So any familial responsibilities are very transparent to that effect.
Any financial.
Like, yes, any financial. Yeah, I guess any financial.
Yeah,
so they just know that, okay, look, uncle there needs 10 kgs of sowing seeds and ukukuruda, this. And then we just know that we're pulling out that money from the pool. Yeah. And then there's another camp that's like, yo, we still kind of pool money, have a shared bank account. But when it comes to like familial responsibilities, you do your people, I'll do my people. Like, so I don't know exactly how it works, but it's like you know what's needed in your family. Deal with it. I know what's needed in my corner. I'll deal with it. That sort of thing. So there are people who do. What I don't know is where does the money come from? So is it a situation where we pool all of our money together and then whatever extras we have is what was used there, or if it's something else? Because when it comes to how money is pooled, There are people who put all of the monies together. Like, for example, when the salary comes in, they put all of it in one place and then start distributing it for the different expenses that they have as a family. There are some people who will say, okay, what are our expenses as a family? Then they'll be like, okay, so
From the
towards
pool.
rent, I'll put this towards... No, not from the pool,
okay.
from salaries. So I'll put this towards rent, I'll put this towards groceries, I'll put this. And then whatever balances they're left with are the ones that they do whatever they need to do with on their own. So other people do that.
Okay, cool. I like that. So I was talking to someone and they were just like, when we say split, right? Let's split. I mean, we're married now. Let's split our finances. You handle some, I handle some. We mean like a consolidated split, right? So his issue was, it's $100 item and you expect me to pay $90 and you just pay 10, right? And I'm like, okay, I get it. You know, I guess it goes back to how women just feel like you should just provide and give us money. But if his salary is only $500 and hers is $500, where is the expectation that he has more to put towards these things? Like rent is $350, right? Don't know why you'd live like that, but let's say rent is $350. And so his $500 is supposed to cover rent, right? And then maybe she does some groceries here and there. I don't know, right? It just, his issue was just like, help us, right? I don't have extra money, but she's got the same money, but she gets to get off with like lighter things. She gets to have fewer things to cover. Then I spoke to another person who was also like, listen, when I got married, I had to have this conversation with my wife because that first month was rough. I'm like, how so? He was raised watching his father give his mother money. Hey, I got my salary. Here's all of the money. Do with it as you will. She was raised watching the opposite, right?
Watching the mom give the money to the dad.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
So in her mind, the man is supposed to cover all the bills and do everything. Right.
After she's given him the money.
She's supposed to give him the money and be like, you're the head of the house, you know, do the things.
Yeah.
He's now like, no, I wouldn't know anything about like groceries and stuff. Like, here's the stuff, here's the money. So they were now like month end, rent is due, and looking at each other like, so I've given you the money. No, I'm giving you the money. No, you're supposed to. No, you're supposed to. And then at that point, did they sit and have that conversation?
I'm glad it wasn't because the money wasn't there.
Yeah. But only then did they discover that this is your background, this is my background, these are my expectations. We should have spoken about this before. We can still fix it, but we should have spoken about this, right?
So it's important to know your partner's background in terms of financially.
In anything.
How money was used when they're growing up, what their perspective towards money is, or how they feel money should be used, saved, that sort of thing.
Their expectations as well, right? That's really important. So I think going back to your former question about at what point, definitely before you say I do, you should have this conversation and cover everything. Nothing is too small to talk about money. Like, oh, okay, so when we do like takeout, like, do you just like place an order like, hey babe, I don't feel like cooking, takeout? Are you cool with that? Or are you expecting for me to be like, it's gonna cost us $20, here's my 10? Or you know what I mean? Like, because these things, I suppose, will eventually build up resentment if they're handled wrong.
The wrong way.
And
like how,
money
like,
is a daily thing.
If I say no, don't buy takeout because I don't want us to spend money.
Yeah.
It's like, but you want me to come and cook.
Yeah.
Then you get
And I'm like,
resentful.
but before you married me, I had takeout 5 times a week, fam. And now I'm married, now I suffer.
Life changed.
Right? I mean, it does, but you should have that. At least if I go in knowing that I'm likely to shift this way. You know, when the shift happens, I'm not taken aback. I have some kind of, everyone should still walk into marriage with some expectation of changes. But there's some that you can not quantify, wordify.
Right. You can express.
You can actually communicate. Exactly. So my thinking, well, a lot of people just keep reverting back to the man must provide. Then there's some nice people out there who just feel like the bills should be split. because seasons change. One season, he's making more. So it only makes sense that he shoulders more because capacity-wise, he has more capacity. Not necessarily just because he's the head of the house. But if he's earning $10,000, there's no way we're going 50-50 on my $300 salary. Right?
Okay.
Right? No?
Well, like, I believe in a slightly different way of handling it. I believe that if one person's earning 10,000, one person's earning 3,000, then no one is shouldering more if the money just goes into one pool.
If you're pooling it. I agree with you. I'm just saying, like, feedback from people outside. Of course, I agree. Okay, fine. If you're coming to my opinion, I am pro pooling money together because you want to have that trust. You want to have that openness, that transparency.
Yeah. Though I do understand why guys usually don't want to pull the money together. It's like the example that you were giving where we both earn $500.
Yeah.
But you'll find that people want, or she wants you to cover rent and all major expenses.
And emergencies.
So she'll be like, no, look, you cover rent, I'll cover the house. So he's covering rent, maybe that $350, like you're saying, from the $500, and now anything, if the car needs a service, all of these major things he's covering, and
she's doing Zesa.
Yeah, and groceries. I'm not saying groceries are like pretty high up there, but you do find that it becomes very difficult. Well, in my mind, for things to balance out. Of course, there's also a very good reason why people do that also sometimes, because of the way that our brains function. Guys, a lot of the times will think of the very functional type of expenses, and like sort of bare necessity level functional.
Okay.
Is the car working? Is the car fueled? Is the rentals paid? Is our electricity paid? Can we live in the house? And then women's minds I've seen are more able to function towards like, okay, so do we have the food that we need? Hey, it looks like, clothes in this house are getting kind of old. We need to buy new clothes. Left to guys, we won't even think about clothes. So if I was solely responsible for our budget, for example, if you gave me your money and I pulled it with my money, and then I decided what happened with all the money, I would have, we would never have new clothes. Ever, like at all. Not even for Christmas.
When something absolutely runs out.
No. I would definitely make sure we buy a lot of things, but we wouldn't buy the nice fluffy things. Like we would have cooking oil, sugar, bread, meat, but like donuts, snacks, nah. If I went shopping on my own, we would not have that.
Happy that I control that.
Yeah. Like we would struggle. So this is why it's kind of important to just have that balance and have people together.
Yeah.
But in terms of those conversations, I had a friend who also said it's also very important for you as a couple, maybe early on, you had said before, but early on, because most people don't think about this before, to go for a financial course together, so that you have a level of understanding towards, financial literacy, long-term financial literacy, so that when you're talking about saving or when you're talking about investing in the future, you guys are on the same page, rather than, what do you mean? What should we be doing? So that's one thing he said, something you had spoken about, like the fees and stuff. So another friend had said, look, talk about lifestyle responsibilities, like what we're saying, like who's responsible for what, or if you're doing the whole pooled thing, but lifestyle. So when he spoke about lifestyle, I understand the importance. Like, for example, if I'm going to say, baby, I don't want to ever live in a high density neighborhood, it's very important to have that conversation, because one of us could have the perspective of, I think if we spend the first 5 years of our marriage living in a high density neighborhood, we can save this much money and then be able to do this with it in the future. With the schools, I don't believe in private school. You believe in private school. I think the kids should go, like, all those conversations should be had, not only because it'll be important financially at some point, but because those decisions are important financially now. The schools you're going to send your children to, the houses you're going to live in, they affect how you live now, like going forward. It's not like our son or daughter's 6 now, we need to think about a school for grade 1. Let's start thinking about it. So the conversation is very important to have early on.
Agreed. And truthfully, like, I know people want to impress. Like, when you're dating, I want you to hear what you want to hear. I want to say what you want to hear. I want to make you smile. I want to, but like, you have to be truthful about the stuff, because now when you're in the house, it all comes undone. Like,
that is true.
But you said we can send our kids to A school. Now we're here, and you're. What happened? What changed?
What happened to our A school dreams?
Exactly. Now it's.
What happened to our Arundel and our $5,000 fees?
I'm ex-Arundel.
I know, but look, it's just in the news right now. I'm taking advantage of something that's flying around at the moment. Arundel $5,000 fees.
Yeah, it's really important to just have that transparency early on. I agree.
Oh, we're back.
Did you just twirl your hair?
Yeah. Come on, I had hair at some point.
You did.
Yeah.
You did. It's hard to believe. Very.
Yeah. All right.
So yeah, we were saying that we need transparency in these things and planning. People take for granted that things happen in life, right?
Oh, yeah.
An emergency is going to happen. And now that you're married, like I said, your family is now my family is now your family. Before, when an emergency happened, it's just kind of like you deal with you. Now I have to deal with you, or that brother of yours, or that sister of mine, or that tete that is not just a tete, she's the one that raised me, so she's important to me and stuff like that, right? So how are we gonna approach that? Do we have a budget for that? Are we pulling from savings for emergencies? Are we now shucks, let's take from the rent money for now and deal with the emergency, and then have to make a plan when it comes to rent time? People need to plan ahead as well. So it's not just about, let's just be transparent and have this conversation early. Like you said, you have to plan way ahead.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of these things, and you don't even know what you're planning for it sometimes.
I think when it also comes to financial, based on something you're saying now, one of the most important conversations, I don't think we ever had this conversation, but luckily we've sort of almost always been on the same wavelength, or we agree pretty quickly, is at which point do we say no? So you see, for the example that you're giving, where it's okay, so we've had this emergency. Do we take from rent right now and move to this, or this person needs that? Do we take from this pool that we have put aside for something else to cover that, and then we'll make the gaps? Or once money is set to certain things, we don't move it. We're going to be saying, sorry, we can't help, we don't have. So because that's something that's very, very difficult to do. And I'm not even going to say from an African perspective, how our families are. I believe it doesn't matter what race you are, but when family comes knocking, it's very difficult to say no when you are able to. Yeah. So that's where I'm not saying say no when you can, but where it's you possibly can move a few pieces around to make it happen. Yeah. And it becomes so at which point do we make those sacrifices? Are we okay, so we had saved fees money a term in advance, and we have this emergency, so are we going to take from it, or are we going to be we can't sacrifice we can't sacrifice the fees money and that sort of thing. So it's very important to be able to have sort of discussion around when you can say no as well.
Yeah. That's important. I think also for people to start understanding, I guess this speaks maybe to that financial literacy thing you mentioned.
Yeah.
Understanding that when we say we don't have money, it doesn't always mean I don't have money, right? I don't have money for that particular thing.
Can you say that to each other as a couple as well? I know it sounds very easy. It's easy to say to an external, but I come and I say, baby, look, the new FIFA's out.
Your examples are always gaming.
I feel look, and I am exonerated because this is a lifestyle thing that I actually communicated to her while we were dating. So
I bought you FIFA.
I know. Yeah. So it's just she will. So just having conversations around, so this is what has come out in terms of expenses related to my lifestyle. Yeah. Can we do it? And then being able to say to your partner, no, well, we can't do that right now because look, we've got things that we're planning to do, and this eats into that or whatever.
Yeah, it's tough. I can see what you mean, because you had to use FIFA, but it's tough. But I think if it's an honest answer, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, look, I really want to keep giving you what you're accustomed to and everything, but I'm not saying no because I'm trying to make your life difficult. I'm saying no because the circumstances right now are not okay. Maybe next month we'll be back up and then I can do it then, or whatever it is. I suppose it's also how it's communicated.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, it's money in marriage is a big thing. Do you know that it is a bigger contributor to divorce than infidelity? So
it's okay to cheat, but not to be broke.
It's not okay.
Okay.
But
it's okay-ish to cheat, but don't be broke, my guy.
Oh my! Like, okay, fine. The song we're listening to before we started recording, and the chick was saying something like, "Oh, my friend's got her own money, so she doesn't need a guy." Right? We've got that mentality around everywhere. The women know it and talk about it. The men see it and recognize it. So what happens then when the man can't foot certain bills or doesn't have the money that now we're married? We're talking about we're now married. Because, of course, if someone isn't your cup of tea before marriage, then they're not your cup of tea. Right?
Yeah.
But now you're married and he used to be and now he's not anymore. How? Or she used to be and she's not anymore.
I think
how do we handle that?
That's a question for you. You let us know. Like, from a female perspective, what is that? If I wake up one day and I can't cover the bills that I used to be able to cover, or I can't do the things for you that I used to be able to do, if I could send you on a holiday every so often, if I could, do certain things, if something happens and then I can't cover that, is it like immediately, oh no, out with this guy, or is it okay, like, look, I'll make it, we can make it work? Is there like a timeline where you girls are like, okay, I'll give him like a year. If this nigga ain't back to sending me to Kariba with the girls in a year, then it's out.
Done.
Yeah.
Right. So on both ends of that spectrum, a lady came back to me and she had left her husband because he could no longer foot the bills like that. He couldn't give her the lifestyle that she wanted. Right? But from my perspective, recalibrate. You're in this for better or for worse, and for better or for worse will happen. And it doesn't always have to be. I don't know why you're equal now.
Yeah.
So the man doesn't have like a worse than you, right? Does that make sense?
No.
Like, if things happen to him,
sense.
It shouldn't be worse because it's happened to him. If the same thing happened to you, it should be as equally as bad because you're one now, right? So, like, recalibrate as a couple. Look, this has happened. We used to be here. We're now here. Let's start living according to what we can until we're back up. And what can we do?
I just want to look at your ring, make sure you're still married.
Right. So I think, wrapping up, I suppose.
Yeah.
The key thing to like handling money in marriage is that communication before, during, constantly check in, because people's lifestyle changes happen constantly.
Yeah.
And you had one child, now you have two. What are we going to do now? And we used to like hoard groceries. Do you still want to do that? Or do you want to put it in something else? And right. Constantly check in. Look, we've been married 3 years now. We thought we'd have the house by now. We still don't. What do we need to change? So like constant check-ins and things like that, I think, are really important. And like for me, it's corn.
I really like corn.
Pulling money together for me is the answer. It works best because then no one person feels less or more or fingers pointed at any given point. Like if you're one unit, for me, it works to just make it one unit. And it, like, proven, it's helped us save so much better than before. Yeah, it has.
I think you're right.
And giving each other that allowance. So from the pool, still give each other some money that you can do.
To make sure that the lifestyle is still there.
Yeah, but like you do what you want. I don't need to know. You still have
definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously, like, we are going to be very biased towards the pooling of money. And I think also the pooling of money and then it goes beyond just pooling. Pool money, make decisions together around what to do with that money, and that'll make sure that you guys are okay throughout the many cycles that life will go. Yeah. So if at some point one person earns 10 times what the other earns, but because it's getting pooled, and let's say these are allowances, if they're like equal amounts from whatever percentage of the pool, then no one is living better between the two of you because they earn better.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. So being able to do that means no matter what cycles happen, there's no, oh my God, her husband treated, because you hear about these so often where a husband treats the wife so poorly because either he earns so much more, or in some cases she's even like a housewife, and it's like he's taken it out of his mind, the insane value that she adds by actually being at home and keeping the house moving all the time, and has decided to bring it solely to who's bringing the most dollar into the house. Yeah. So I think it's very important, transparency and communication, consistent transparency and communication. As a guy, 90% transparency. Always have money on the side, because when emergencies happen, women will look at us and be like, now what?
So where's your extra money?
Yeah, I don't have any, but I'm working on it. But as guys, I just feel like transparency, communication, and this needs to begin before marriage. All very important.
Agreed. Agreed. Let us know what you think.
Yeah.
How do you handle money in your marriage? What do you wish you knew? What do you know now that you want to share? Let us know.
Yeah.
All right. That's us. Out.